All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day out there. Today we got a great discussion for you guys on breaking the barrier with myself, my man Patrick Wickard, and then we got Be the Changes, Anthony Russo. My guy, say what's up, everybody.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
What up? So as a rule, I think whoever is up top first, they get to go first. So Patrick, you're the man. And then I'm now the man. So hello.
Hello.
Back to the man.
All right. So today's discussion, we got three things that we're going to discuss. The first one we're going to discuss is that 20. Did you guys see the video of the $20 bill when they're saying that the black guy's hanging in the back of the? Did you guys see that video? Now,
Yes,
at first, it did catch me off guard. I was like, "Oh no, they didn't." I was like, "No freaking way!" And then I'm like, my better mind kicked in, and I'm like, "No, this there would not be so bold. They would not do that." So I just looked up the picture of the White House, and when I looked the picture up of the White House, the lamp looks literally exactly like the lamp from the White House. It's exactly the way that it is. There was nothing in there that is racist, and I think that people are they're really trying, man. They're really trying to cause some division, straight up. They are really trying to get people angry, and that would be the only thing that I can think of why they would even do that, is to get people in an uproar. What did you guys think about that video, Patrick?
I agree with you. I think that there are a lot of people that are looking for things to fight about, looking for things to add to division, and looking for ways to tear us further apart from each other. The more and more I watch the media, the more I am convinced that they really don't want us coming together, right? And now with social media being what it is, it can be anybody. Anybody can make a video, zoom in on a $20 bill, and make an assumption about something and put it out there, and because and people will buy it. It's kind of sad, but
Russo.
Yeah. It's part of the issue going across the board, as we talk about. To me, and I hate to use the word obviously, it makes zero sense whatsoever. But at the same time, what I'm starting to realize is we're bouncing back and forth in these conversations. There are similar type arguments that are like that are being made on both sides. So I really try to keep the blame away from both. But this is just, again, as somebody just said, it's just another distraction. It's some other ploy and push to continue to separate us. And it is as full of it as humanly possible. Yeah,
definitely. With the reasoning behind it. See, and this is the thing. It was just a regular person that shared the video. And I think it was a regular person. I don't know if they had any affiliation with any other groups like, BLM or anything like that. I just know that when I seen the video, she was just on it about white folks and look at what these white folks did and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, like, if this is just a regular person, it shows how divided the mind is and how they're just looking like what would possess you to look at that and be like, I'm trying to think, like, was she just looking at a $20 bill one day and was like, this isn't like a black guy to you? You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to figure out what made her share the video instead of before she made the video. Why didn't she just go and look up the picture to see if this is exactly how the White House really looks? You know what I mean? And then I'm thinking, like, there's got to be some ulterior motive here. And if not, if there's no ulterior motive, then that means that they succeeded in dividing her mind to get her to think that this country is really racist, which I caught a lot of stuff for saying the stuff that I'm saying. Especially with the 20, they're like, "No, you're lying, man. They are racists out here." And one lady like ripped me apart, and she's like, "How dare you say that racism doesn't exist?" Which I never said that. I never said that racism does not exist. I said it doesn't exist in the extent that they're trying to make it exist. It exists in the minds of people, and it exists in some form or fashion, you could say, with the way things are done in our country. But it's not a blatant racism, is what I'm trying to say. Like, we've gotten better. Back in the day, if you walk into a place and try to sit down and eat, they'll tell you can't eat here because you're, the N-word. You know what I'm saying? And nowadays, you go anywhere and you can eat. You got people standing up protesting, doing all types of things and saying all types of things, speaking out in all types of ways. We have people that are in positions of power that happen to be African American. racism, I'm not denying that racism is a real thing, but it's not as real as they try to make it. Like, people aren't out here just looking for black people to kill, and people, and mind you, I did hear, we're going to talk about this later on, about the people that were hung in California. I guess there was a lynching. It was a real thing, that it really happened. And again, that doesn't mean that racism isn't, or that racism is like running rampant. It just means that some racist people got together and caught somebody that was African American and hung them in a tree because they're ignorant. And the law, if the law found out who it was, this is why I say we can't lose. Because if the law would get involved and they would arrest that person that did that, I guarantee you that they would face a very harsh punishment. So you can't say back in the day you wouldn't get punished for it. There's people out there encouraging it. So racism is dying down, and the thing that I'm thinking is happening, and what people are doing, is they're trying to revitalize. I got you guys.
People keep saying you're echoing. I don't hear you echoing, so I don't know. Patrick, do you hear him echoing?
Yeah, he was echoing a little bit.
Am I better now?
I didn't read comments, but speak now, Kat.
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Nope.
Still echoed? No?
No, you sound good, man.
Does it sound or it does? Sorry.
Everybody, can you hear me out there? Am I echoing or am I good?
I think you're good, brother. I think you're good.
I think we're good now.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, go ahead, guys. Weigh in.
Well, what I was thinking real quick is when I was hearing, or when I'm thinking about we can choose to see whatever we want and things, it's like this is just as silly, but now it's becoming a huge deal because of its significance. It's literally like people finding the Jesus in the waffles or in the pancakes or something along those lines. It's just, it doesn't make sense. So it's literally just something to share. And unfortunately, instead of Jesus and a pancake, this is much more dangerous.
Yeah, I agree.
I think racism is different now. I mean, it's not pitchforks and lynchings anymore. At least not every day, right? It's not the predominant thing we see. It's changed, and it's in some ways that's good, and in some ways it might be bad. It just depends on how it's actually affecting the people that are having to deal with it. So, but like what you were saying, if there wasn't an ulterior motive, and they looked at that picture and they actually saw that, might it be that that us being constantly taught, or racism and the divide and the things that we're seeing in the media, and we're just constantly being fed this story over and over and over again, literally has people looking for it now.
Exactly.
And convinced at anything that they think might resemble it.
Exactly. I agree. Totally.
Hey, Cash, okay. drop me in and out. I think people are still saying that it might be just because of this feed. So drop me in and out real quick, and then see if that helps it.
Okay. There you go. All right, let me share this because I guess I didn't share it on my page apparently. So let me go ahead and share this to my page.
All right, I'm gonna come right back up.
Gotcha. All right. So moving forward, as we wait for Anthony, okay. I just want to say, racism definitely exists in the minds of some people, and definitely it is an issue, but it is not something that I feel people on the ground that we see every day. We see each other every day. All right. People, regular people, working blue collar people. All right. We see each other every single day, and we aren't racist towards one another. You'll get an occasional person that's ignorant and was raised a certain type of way. Like I seen a lady share a comment on the video from last night, and she said, well, you're saying that racism don't exist yet. Why wasn't I able to ever bring a black guy home without being, my family would disown me type thing. That's true. I understand totally. There is families that are like that. But what I'm saying is it's hidden, because your family at the same token will go outside, and I'm sure they say they have black friends, and I'm sure they encounter black people and they don't show their racism. So it's hidden. Back in the day when it was really racism, people were blatant with it. They were blatant with it. They were out there in the front lines being racist. Nowadays, it's not like that. And the reason why I would feel like the family would feel that way is because of the things that they see in the media, how black people are portrayed. When you watch the news and you don't have any black people around you because of where you live, of course your family's going to think like, okay, they see this on the news and they're going to think that all black people are a criminal or are going to, you know, do whatever it is that they think that black people do. And that can change. All that can change. It just takes things like this, the conversations to be had. Ask your parents why they feel the way they feel about black people. You break that barrier. You talk to them, have that discussion and tell them like it's not like that. How you view it or how you were raised, what granny told you isn't real. That's not what it really is. And you make them decisions when you get older to break that cycle with your family. And that's how we end it. With your children, you break that cycle and you teach love instead of hate. So that's what I got for that as far as that $20 bill goes. It's nonsense. It is not a black person hanging behind a lamp. It is exactly how the lamp looks. Literally, it's literally exact. It's identical to the lamp that is hanging in front of the White House. So, yeah.
So here's the last question. Sorry, really, and Patrick, you answer this too, because the question now becomes: how do you have the conversation with somebody? How do you actually? Because we break the barrier by having the conversation. But if somebody like us just goes, y'all, you're seeing some stuff that just isn't there. It's in your imagination. So how would you actually break down that convo?
Personally, go ahead, Patrick. You can weigh in on that first.
First, you have to be open to have the conversation. Like that's the first step, right? Like anytime you have a conversation with somebody that you have differing views from, if you go in it defending a position, you're not going to get anywhere with it. You're just going to end up disagreeing with each other. Now, if you go in with the intent of learning from each other and understanding from each other, there's a chance that you can change each other's position or opinions. Now, as far as breaking down this specific thing with racism in your own personal family, I think you lead by example first and foremost. Like if it has to do with my children, for example, I lead through example. You know, if my daughter right now is dating a black girl and she came home and asked me about it, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, why are you even asking me such a silly question, right? Like that is, and it's funny that even she thought that this was something we had to talk about in 2020,
That's
right?
crazy.
But that is something that she literally thought she had to talk about. You know, like, isn't that interesting that my daughter, who is openly gay and has been for years and years and years, actually wanted to come and talk to her dad about dating a black girl? What are we teaching in society that makes people think this way, right? And here's the thing. She's a great girl. I like her a lot. She's hilarious. And she cooks. They like to come over and cook dinner together and they hang out and everybody gets along just fine. What's the problem? We change through example, guys. That's a huge step in the right direction. Be open to it.
So you're saying you eat okra now? Yeah?
I haven't had it yet.
Is that too soon? Is that too soon?
What I would say needs how I would address it. You just ask the question, and before you do, you tell them like, hey, I want to have a serious conversation with you because it's important to me, and I love you guys, and I don't want to let you down, but I need you to know how I feel, but I need to know why you feel the way that you feel. What happened? What made you feel that way? And then don't be upset by their answer. Don't be upset if they give you an answer that you find totally ridiculous. You just tell your side and tell them like, hey, I know that that's how you feel, but I have a lot of people that I know that are, you know, Mexican or Puerto Rican or black or Cuban or Arabian or whatever it is that the racism is happening with. And then you let them know. And even now, what's crazy is now we even have to say white, because now there's black families like that are totally against the dating of a white chick or a white guy, totally against it. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, you have to come at them with love, however you come at them, but be open and be I don't know how the right word to say, and how you present it to them. You have to be stern. You have to be clear, concise. That's the word. You have to be concise in the question that you're that you're asking and the answer that you want. So there's no error in the communication, or for you to understand what it is that the problem is. So that way you can try and get them to understand that that's not what it is. And you won't always get to them right away, but you got to live your life. So if you're somebody, and sister, I'm sorry that you had to struggle with that. If you had a black boyfriend and your parents hated him, I apologize that they made you feel some type of way about it. But don't let that deter you from being you. And you just keep on loving your parents and keep loving whoever you want to love. Okay? That's all I got for you on that. So moving forward, I'm going to share a video to you guys right now. I don't know if anybody's aware of what happened in Detroit with the guy that was shot, and BLM is out there protesting. Black Lives Matter is out there protesting with the community about the death of this guy that got shot 3 times in the back by the police. And before we get into it, I just got to say he deserved it. And I don't mean that to be a jerk. I'm being honest with you. All right. And I'm going to let you hear why this man deserved it. All right. Check it out.
I want to begin with the dramatic video police released tonight to set the record straight about what really happened at the scene of the shooting. 7 Action News reporter Alan Campbell at police headquarters with how it all went down.
Police Chief James Craig releasing video of that officer-involved shooting. He says his officers returned fire after being fired upon.
8 shots fired in 5 seconds. 8 shots fired in 5 seconds.
Police Chief James Craig outlining the events that happened leading up to a deadly officer-involved shooting near San Juan and West McNichols around 12:30 Friday afternoon.
Officers from the 12th Precinct and the Gang Intelligence Unit were there engaging in surveillance.
Chief Craig says officers were in the area to make an arrest on a man the chief called Mr. Sylvester on a DEA warrant after a deadly shooting earlier this month.
The gentleman wearing the white T-shirt was a focus of their investigation. He was the individual being arrested.
Chief Craig says Mr. Sylvester was arrested without incident. However, during the arrest, the chief says Hakeem Littleton drew a handgun from his side pocket, pointed it at the officer, and fired.
We believe, based on our investigation, at that point, he fired 2 shots in quick succession. Mr. Littleton continued firing his weapon, even as he was on the ground. Officers have recovered 4 casings at the scene consistent with the weapon possessed by Mr. Littleton.
Police returning fire, hitting Littleton 4 times. Chief Craig says officers recovered a .25 caliber blue steel semi-automatic Beretta belonging to Littleton. The chief saying the officer who was fired upon is a hero.
Even though he was being fired upon, he did not have his gun out at that time, and he pursued this individual.
Chief Craig says this is still an ongoing investigation. Reporting in Detroit, I'm Alan Campbell, 7 Action News.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so you guys seen, all right? The man they weren't even coming for him. He probably wouldn't even have gotten searched. They were coming for somebody who, by the way, from what I'm understanding, the guy that they were coming for was being investigated for a triple homicide. A triple homicide. Probably 3 black people. Police didn't even have their guns out before this kid pulled out his gun and started firing at the police. Shot at his face. You seen the video for yourself. Fired at his face. 2 shots. Boom, boom. Quick reaction for the cop. Pull out his. Boom, boom, boom. It's a life and death situation. And then there's people around. That's what they didn't show the angle. There's people behind the cops that could have got killed. Another kid could have got killed. You know what I'm saying? And the guy didn't even have his gun out. They didn't come up on him like that. They had who they wanted. They weren't caring about anybody else. They had the man that they wanted. But you got people out here trying to defend this man's life. He was a criminal. He tried to kill someone for no reason. His life was not in danger. I call BS, and shame on you, Black Lives Matter, and the people that are out there protesting in Detroit for standing on that man's side. You're defending evil. That was evil what he did. Them police came out there to grab another person who was killing people. People that look like you and me, murdering them. And you're going to stand on the side of the people that are murdering the people that you're saying matter. The irony. What you guys got for this?
I mean, Look, man, you pretty much said everything that there is to say about it. How else is the police officer supposed to respond in this situation? And I got to ask the question: if we hadn't seen this big move to defund the police, and we see the signs to F12 and the disrespect that we see going on now, would we be in a situation where a young man feels so obligated to pull out a weapon and fight with the police when he's not even involved in the situation? I don't know. Is this just, I mean, what was the point? What was this? I mean, we're never going to know because he's gone, but what was the purpose in attacking that officer? That's one question I don't think we're ever going to get.
Well, no, we got it. It's in there right now. They said the other guy was a suspect in those murders as well, so they probably were going to grab him, and he knows that he's gone. His life is going to be over. Yeah,
they both
they're going to
done.
be done. Well, he's like,
he
okay.
knew that was the end of the line. They both knew that was the end of the line for them.
Exactly.
Well, then what are we protesting about? Obviously, he made a choice that he wasn't going to go to prison for the rest of his life. Instead, he's just going to end his life right then and there. I mean, that really looks like death by cop to me. You've got 4 officers in front of you, and you draw a pistol and you start shooting at one. How else is that going to end?
Yeah.
Here's the deal. This is a perfect example of why this is, and not a Black Lives Matter, the movement, Black Lives Matter, the corporation movement. This is their perfect story to get a hold of. Why? Because they know rational-minded human beings and Americans will look at this and go, that's the dumbest thing I've seen. The guy had to get killed. First off, thank God that he's the worst shot in history.
Yes.
And didn't hit the guy from 3 feet away. And
yes.
Thank God it didn't hit the people behind him. But there is no rational world. There is no rational situation where you could say that this person didn't, in one way or another, expect or deserve to die. So why is this pushed by the Black Lives Matter organization? Because it preys on the people that'll never watch the video. So they'll go ahead and they'll just they'll think another black man killed by police in Detroit. And this was about a week ago. We talked about this a little bit on Truth Will Set You Free. And then the other side, and all of everybody on our hosts, our panel who hadn't seen it, agreed this is insane. But then the people that are going to see the video are going to fight the other side. And ultimately, again, the conversation has to lend to, please God, just watch the video. Just please watch the video. This one is, I mean, this isn't like the Rayshard Brooks where you can debate whether or not this, that, or the other. This is a blatant guy going to shoot a cop in the head and he got shot back. There is no other way to look at it. There's no other way to save his life. No, he shouldn't have shot at the knees. He was shooting at the head. So this is, again, another problem to be brought up when discussing Black Lives Matter. And the last thing I'll say is I've had some conversations lately with people that are more of the Black Lives Matter side. And they're Black Lives Matter, the movement side. And even they are starting to feel the exact same way about the organization. They know it's bull crap, and it's
a lot of people are moving away from Black Lives Matter. That's not being showed. A lot of people are leaving that organization and leaving it because of things like this. There's a hidden agenda it's just obvious at this point. You're going and protesting in a city. You have resources now. You have people that follow you. You can make a big change in the cities where you're going and protesting. But instead, you go there and race bait. You race bait. Only because this man got killed by a white police officer are they out there. And they're not out there saying, you know what, you guys got to stop being this way in this community. You cannot shoot at the police. You can't be killing each other. You're making the police presence have to be out here. No, you're only coming out there to say defund the police. We got to get Trump out of office. All these other things that have nothing to do with Black Lives Mattering. None of them. Nothing at all. I think it is. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. Black Lives Matter is probably the worst thing to happen in this country since racism.
Worst thing to happen to black people since racism.
And white people. Look at what they're doing to white people.
But that's true. That's true. A different way to look at it. It's just such a counterproductive movement that it's ruining the moment right now. Right now, finally at a moment where we're having conversations like this with all the people commenting, and they're just bastardizing the moment. That's not a swear word. They're bastardizing the moment.
Gotcha.
I would like to. I just got to add. I hope that as the organization itself begins to crumble, and if that is the way that it's going, that we don't lose track of the fact that yes, Black lives still matter, just like all other lives. Like this isn't an issue that we can be done with just yet. Even if that organization, which we all know how I feel about that, falls, which is good for everybody, we still need to tackle a few issues. So,
yeah, you're right. I
So
just seen a
hold on
comment
there.
right here. Bank of America is pledging $10 million for Black Lives Matter as of today. Is that real?
So hold on. There,
I
well, it
haven't heard
depends.
that. I don't know.
I didn't fact check it. I'm on my phone, but there is a phrasing that it could be. I'd have to look it up, but they're not necessarily donating to the organization. So there is an actual difference and a rift now between Black Lives Matter movement and Black Lives Matter the corporation. So if they say that they're donating to Black Lives Matter, that could mean, and I don't know, it could mean that they are finding Black advocacy programs. So it doesn't necessarily mean it. So I don't
Well, then that
know.
might be okay. But still,
Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't pledge it to Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter doesn't even really care about Black Lives Mattering. And it's showing in the way that they come out and do the things that they do. The people show up and care. The people care. But the people behind it, they don't care. They do not care. And nobody will ever be able to convince me otherwise. Because if they did, they wouldn't only come out when things like this happens. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't care about Black men being killed. They only care about what's going to happen after they're killed. You know what I'm saying? And it's got to be by a white cop. And then we can come out and we can cause chaos and defund the police.
Do you remember when you had the conversation the other night with the girl from Seattle when you were live with her?
Yeah.
That was a very interesting conversation. But even though, random white girl being there for the protests at 2:00 in the morning, right after you guys got off the phone, the first thing she said was the complete opposite is kind of our mantra, which was she goes, I'm always open to have a conversation and teach you how I feel. And I'm like, just listen and learn and teach. You do all of the above. But her focus was on teaching you as a Black man how to feel as a Black man, which was, I was just seething when I was watching that at 3:00 in the morning. Cause I'm like, really? Do you know what you just said?
It's all good, but you see, I handled it, and now she's a street light. You know what I'm saying? See, I handled it, talked to her with love, and understood, and heard her out. I let her have her piece without killing her for her opinion, and just gave my piece. And her friend totally agree.
Yeah,
they totally agree with what we're doing now. So all lives matter. Let me go ahead and say that for anybody that's watching while I'm talking about Black Lives Matter. All lives matter, and I don't want to hear that all lives can't matter till Black Lives Matter, because that's BS. And I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. Everybody matters. Every single life matters. So, yeah. Anyway, pressing forward, sirs. Anybody else want to touch on that anymore? No?
The conversation point that you just made, Russo, is really important. If you're going to try to have a constructive conversation, it's really, really important that it's not to defend your position. If you're not open to new information, or at least attempting to understand where the rest of us are coming from or where somebody else is coming from, you're not going to learn anything, and you're not going to be able to understand, or to come to some sort of level of mutual respect for each other. So if your whole point is to
I would love for you
defend
to do
yourself.
Sorry,
say again.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but Jennifer Dean, I'm all game. So I wrote your name down. I'm going to search you after this show, and we're going to talk. Go ahead, guys. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. Like if your point is to just defend your position, you're not going to learn anything. And if you're not open to learning, then you don't know if you're wrong or not.
You are a well of wisdom tonight, Patrick, just so you know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Been a great week.
And I don't disagree very often. So on the occasion we do, we talk it out. But Curtis and I do quite a bit. And we go, Curtis from Truth Will Set You Free, if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about. Him and I will go toe to toe for an hour, and it is all listen, talk, listen. And by the end of it, both of us are vastly more intellectual in that specific area. It is all about the listening portion, because the listening portion, if we feel strongly about something, allows us to actually have a stronger point. If you test points of failure, you're going to have a stronger point. And even if the person that Cash talked to that night, I know she's a streetlight, she might hear something on this show and go, I don't want to listen to it anymore. This is not for me.
No, she's
But
pretty cool.
I'm sure, like, I'm just saying there's some people that might not be. And we're planting that seed over and over and over and over that sometimes they'll go away, they'll come back, they'll go away, come back, and eventually they will understand. We hope that they understand and see a little bit of a different side. And that's the only thing we can hope for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. I agree. So last topic of the day. You know, I caught some stuff for this one, and let me just tell you, all right, we're gonna talk about Nick Cannon briefly. I caught a little bit from a few people, one of which is a mentor of mine, my man Dallas. I love you to death, brother, by the way. Caught a little bit from him because he felt like that I was speaking out against, you know, Nick Cannon too harshly, and that what he was saying was actually right. And I disagree respectfully. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? When you generalize a whole people because of things that you feel you know about some of those people, because you don't know all of those people, okay? You're being racist. You're being racist. That's racism. Okay? And I'm sorry if that makes you feel bad, but I'm not sorry for ever saying it. And that's just what it is. What Nick Cannon said was wrong. It was wrong. You don't call out a whole race of people because of how you feel about some people that you've had encounters with, the things that you've studied. You cannot do that because I know personally good Jewish people. So you can't tell me that all Jewish people are the devil. You can't tell me that white people are the devil. My mom's white. She ain't no devil. She ain't a saint, but she ain't a devil. You know what I'm saying? And it was really irresponsible for him to say what he said, regardless of how you want to look at it. Even if he had some points that he was making that were accurate, to call out a whole people is wrong. You should have called out the people that you were talking about that happened to be Jewish. That would have got you a little better. You know, you would have played it a little safer. You would have had a safety net. But instead, you came off as an anti-Semitic, bro, and that was wrong. Period. I don't care who you are. That's wrong. When you call out a whole race of people, that's wrong. So, yeah. What you guys got for it?
I'd like to add the definition of racism. Okay. And it's prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership or particular race or ethnic group, typically one of a minority or a majority. I mean, it's really simple. If you are against somebody based on their ethnic background, and you're going to generalize somebody in that way, then that is a racist remark. And you know, for the second time that I've ever seen, cancel culture worked the other way. And as far as the results that he got, I'm sure he's going to be just fine. He's probably got a lot of other opportunities, so it probably is not going to affect him very much. But maybe he learned something. At least I hope he did.
Oh, he's definitely going to lose something because he had a big following of all people. And now he just cut off an entire people from his fan base, cut off an entire people that could present opportunity to him. He messed up. He messed up. And anyone with a brain will understand that he messed up. Now, I'm not going to demonize him for the rest of my life over it. I forgive you, you know. I think that you just need to be a little more careful on how you view things and say things because you have a huge platform and people are listening to you. So, dude, they went through like a very traumatic thing, bro. Like the Holocaust is nuts. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like if you were, okay, him being a black man, that'll be just like somebody coming out, like a Jewish person coming out and talking crap about, you know, black people being nothing but thugs and gangbangers and they don't have brains or they're 3/5 of a human being. You would be irate. You would be irate because you know that you as a black man, you do a lot of things for people of all color. And you know that you as a black man are educated, probably more than most. You would be mad too. And you would probably fire the person that worked for you that made that statement. That's why you got fired. You happen to work for people who happen to be Jewish. And then you come out and say things like that. I think you even have a Jewish cast member on Wild 'N Out. And you say something like that, like you don't even think about that person and how they're going to feel or respond to what you're saying. Just because you might say with all due respect doesn't mean it's respectful. It was
That's
wrong.
the truth.
Well, I'm personally, don't be fooled by the last name Russo. I'm half Jewish. My mom's maiden name is Sabarinsky. And I can tell you that there is no pleasure of a group of people, religion or ethnicity. I know Jewish people are always that gray line. People say like, I'm Italian, I'm Jewish, and it doesn't make sense. But that group had 6 million people exterminated in a very short span of time. To compare the Jews and black people, I mean, it's just which one had an extended period of time, but I mean,
they're the same. They've always been allies.
They've always been persecuted. And what's interesting to me with this statement is I come from a predominantly liberal, on my Jewish side, liberal family, and to me, that's shocking to talk down upon the Jewish group. It's one of those ones that Nick Cannon is always just in it to find some kind of publicity. He's been wearing a turban forever it's all a stunt. And I think he's an unfortunate one of the many casualties in Hollywood. And I think Chappelle had it right. I'm not going to say it, but there's a meme going around that's like, see, Chappelle was right all along. And that's what he said, F Nick Cannon. And he's a dude that just bothers me. I don't know.
Yeah, he bothers me now too, because I told you, I used to love Nick Cannon. I thought that he was intelligent, and I thought that he did a lot for people, because he does. He's a very charitable man and very well-spoken man before all of this. You know what I'm saying? And for him to come out and say, I'm like, dude, are you freaking, what happened? What happened? And it has a lot to do with everything that's going on in the world today. It has a lot to do with Black Lives Matter. It has a lot to do with
a super interesting counterpoint, because sometimes we talk about so if you're saying his words are horrible, but his actions are great, we talk about that a lot. If we talk about whether or not people like Trump or not, Trump's words suck. We all know his words suck. A lot of his policies can be looked at as good if you really break them down. So in this case, what's more important?
And see, that's where I like Confucius. Confucius. I don't know if anybody's ever studied Confucius, okay? Because with Confucius, you could not be a member of his party at the time, if you want to call it that, unless your virtuous acts matched the virtue of you. So if you were a good person and you were doing good things, the laws that you passed had to be good, and your life had to be a representation of that. You could not come into the political game of his era if you were a man of bad report, if you didn't change who you were to become a better man. So when people see you, they know that they can trust you. They know that they can look at you and try to be like you and emulate you. They knew that they can listen to you and trust your advice because you had a good heart and you stood on what you were. You were a good man. Nowadays, it's not like that. You can have the best actions in the world and you can be a jerk. You could be a complete jerk. And that's where people get thrown off with politics, because there's a lot of people in politics like that. They're really good people, but pass some horrible laws and have some horrible beliefs. And then you got the ones that have some really great beliefs and they do a lot of very great things, but they're ignorant and they make you just want to choke them. You know what I'm saying? We got to get back to it being hand in hand. You can't be fake. You got to be you all the time. People got to be able to trust their leaders.
I think this would be a great opportunity now that we're saying it, because again, I almost heard my words and going, oh gosh, people have had a different discussion to me the other way. So ultimately, this is an opportunity. People speak at the time live and they say things that maybe he felt would just be shock, like a shock jock, shock DJ, shock commentary. If he goes back and doubles down on what he said, shame on him. But if he can actually show that maybe he learned his mistake, he's got an opportunity to show that you can change your opinions. It's another opportunity instead of a screw you. Because honestly, 6 minutes ago, I felt differently. And then all of a sudden you said the words, he's done good acts, but his words suck. And it bothered me because I go, well, that would be going against my constitution of actions speak louder than words. And you know what? Words are can be mistakes as human beings. So I guess we'll have to see what he does in the next couple weeks, months, whatever it is.
Yep.
I'd be interested to say that, or to see, there's a lot of conservatives that defend Trump based on his actions against his words. So are you, as conservatives, who Nick Cannon is not, are you willing to apply that same logic and reasoning to him? If he comes back and he and he asks, or says he made a mistake or whatever, whatever, right? Does that mean that he gets another shot in your guys' eyes, or does the same logic not apply? Is it not equal both ways, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Wait a minute. I gotta hit this real quick. Michael, well, if that's your stance, you don't like generalizing entire groups of populations, you can't generalize all of Black Lives Matter. Okay, before you keep going with that, I'm not talking about the people that are a part of Black Lives Matter. Get that understood, okay? I'm not talking about the people that go out there to protest. I don't believe that about them at all. I mean the organization, the founding members, and the people that finance Black Lives Matter, okay? The ones that are in control of who comes out and what they're coming out for. Let me be very clear about that. Not the people. I stand hand in hand with the people. I love the people. I feel like the people are just misguided. That's it. All right? I'm not ever, when I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not talking about any person that has a job, a day job, that's working down here on the ground with everybody like me. I'm not talking about them. They don't have an agenda other than they believe that Black lives should matter. They feel that. And they're going out there standing on that. The people behind it have a different agenda. That's what I've been saying, Micah. And you could go back and see the history of what I've been talking about with that, and it's not changed. I love the people. I love the people. All right? I'm against the behind-the-scenes people, the organization. Read what they stand for. You read what they stand for, and you tell me if you still want to stand with Black Lives Matter as a Black man. Because I think any Black man that stands with Black Lives Matter, they haven't read their mantra. Go and read that. And then tell me if you still think that Black Lives Matter cares about you as a Black man. Just saying.
And that logic goes across the board for how I think all three of us look at even the police. Just like the people protesting and marching, those are human beings. Those are fellow humans. We've got no, disagree, agree. It doesn't matter. We love all those humans just the same way as we talk about police officers. We understand that there is a systematic issue in policing right now that we are hopefully addressing. But those cops that are on the beat every day, those are human beings. Some are flawed. They're all flawed, but they're all humans. And we care about all of the humans that are just doing what the system is having them do. And just like Black Lives Matter, the system is an issue right now. There's the corporation. A lot of the policing is an issue from a systematic level, just based on laws and quotas and stuff like that. It's the exact same for Black Lives Matter. They've got a quota right now of how many protests they have to have in the middle of a pandemic to make sure that they're stirring SHIT up. I mean, it's so good not swearing.
You know what? What's also interesting is it's like you were just saying. It's the organization. I think everybody here definitely. I think that I can say this for the three of us. We care about the people, the American people, everybody in this country. We care about all groups of it. It's the organization of the media, the organization of our government, and how it's doing its business, the organization of the police. On several different levels, there's a lot of these things that we disagree with and we have differing views on, but every single one of us is willing to stand with the people.
Yep. Exactly. So, yeah, man, you guys, I really appreciate you all coming on and talking with us. You guys got a final thought for the people? Patrick?
No, I'm good, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. And I'll be on Breathe America later for some final thoughts.
Final thoughts with Jack Handy. Yeah, this is it's another really good conversation. And again, it really does boil down to, and I had this talk earlier where I'm frustrated with how to properly have these conversations to open it up, because people are avoiding our page because they're avoiding our conversations because they see a lot of the followers are white, and we're just human beings that are all here because we want to make a difference. We want to create change. And unfortunately, we can't control the color of our skin, much the same way Black people have said it for a long time. Can't control the color of our skin. But if we're all people trying to do good, why can't more people see that? And as Cash just said and Patrick just said, we believe in humans. We believe in the positivity of human beings. And honestly, even the guy that shot at the police officer and got killed before that, even though he had murder in his background, his half-life, his time to improve and change keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter until you become different. But until the moment he pulled that gun out against the cop, he still had a chance, in my eyes, to change and become a good person and realize that his past was a mistake. But ultimately that time runs out and it gets shorter and shorter depending on your background. So sending peace and love. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for letting me be on it, Cash. I appreciate it. And be the change you wish to see in the world. Be a street light.
You guys, I enjoy having you guys on, straight up. You guys are like my bros, you know what I'm saying? To everybody watching, I greatly appreciate you guys. I really do. I appreciate all of you that watch. I appreciate all of you that share. I appreciate all of you that go to our pages and like our pages and share our pages with people. I appreciate everything that you do to help Streetlights grow. I appreciate all the donations that come in. I appreciate all the love that I've been getting. I appreciate you guys being a part of this journey. All right, because that's the only way we're going to be effective is if we band together. And wherever you are, be a streetlight. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And if you get too stressed out, breathe. Breathe, America. All right? I love you guys. You have a great night. We're going to jump up off here. Everybody say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night. Don't fight, baby.